we heard from Anthony Fauci a little bit earlier when we had that conversation with him, just talking about the parameters of what a vaccine could potentially look like in terms of the, efficacy, in terms of how often you would need to give it, in terms of how widespread it could be administered. So let's just take a listen first.
I hope it's going to be more than 70. But even if it's 50, 60, a 50 to 60% effective vaccine is totally value added if you complement it with public health measures.
So many unknowns there, Michelle, and at the same time, we're starting to get, a framework around what pricing looks like.
You're absolutely right, Heidi. It's interesting that this information is coming out incrementally now. Johnson & Johnson's deal set the floor. They're going to be pricing their vaccine at about $10 a dose. We are seeing from Moderna, they haven't yet signed any major deals for hundreds of millions of doses, but they've done some smaller deals in a few million, and they're pricing theirs at $32 to $37 a dose, although they might give discounts if it gets bigger. I think it's fascinating what Dr. Fauci said today. He seems to be setting a bar and kind of warning Americans and people across the world that this is not going to be a vaccine that makes this virus go away. If you get this vaccine, it does not mean that you're safe, that you're going to be able to go out and drink in bars and interact with everybody in the world. He's saying he's hoping that it's 70% effective, but even if it only protects half of the people who get it, then he's going to consider that a win.
Michelle, we've been talking about those U.S. efforts to supply vaccines. Millions of doses going to the U.S., the U.K. also investing $18 million in the Scottish vaccine manufacturing plant, Japan nearing an agreement to secure vaccine from AstraZeneca, according to the Nikkei newspaper. How much of a risk is there that advanced economies will hog all of these supplies and there will be a huge gap with emerging economies that are suffering right now?
Absolutely. That is a major concern. We had Bill Gates on Bloomberg television just today talking about this exact issue, that the concern is that if we don't get this virus under control in emerging markets, then no one is going to be safe. As we just discussed, the vaccine is not going to be a cure. It's not going to be a magic bullet that protects everyone. And if we still get flows of virus coming from developing countries, then everyone's going to be at risk. And of course, those countries that are already the most vulnerable are going to be the hardest hit. And those people are going to need some protection as well. So there are efforts underway to make sure that there is vaccine and some kind of safeguards for the emerging economies. But as far as how it's going to happen, these vaccines need to be kept very cold. It's going to be very challenging.